They told you the guys torching Wendy's in 2020 were mostly peaceful. They said that masks worked. They told you the vax was safe. They tried to convince you that Russia blew up its own pipeline. The corporate media lied too much, and it killed them. We're driving to see Julian Assange.
Believe me when I tell you.
Wait, I should be boycotting Bud Light.
Fantastic job.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Does my heart well to see that TCN. Go sign up for Tucker's new network. Join Team Tucker at tuckercarlson.com, and Tucker joins us now. Okay, Tucker, so you know I have this TV show and I have a radio show called The Jesse Kelly Show, but you started an entire network. Was this just the Tommy Topper me? Is that why you did it?
It's just untrammeled egomania. I love to say my own name. Actually, I hate to say my own name. And I'm 54 and I can still, to this day, barely pronounce my own name because there are too many C's in it. But, I mean, we had all kinds of ideas for a name, but they were all taken. So my name's weird enough. We went with that.
Yeah. In the end, I appreciate you keeping it simple. And honestly, it is a great thing to watch the power of traditional media go down and have other sources rise. The fact that they hate it so much means it's a really, really good thing because they are the most evil, despicable people out there.
I totally agree with that. And it's nice to see a little bit of justice. I mean, their destruction is in the win column. And you watch for the past 5 or 6 years as people get away with these almost unbelievable crimes, while over 1,000 decent people, most of them lower middle class, old people, are put in jail for exercising their constitutional rights to protest on January 6th. And you think, where's the justice? Is anyone ever going to get what they deserve for the crimes they've committed? And I think most people believe, that legacy media have committed actual crimes against the country and made the country weaker and are actively trying to destroy it. And yet they're still sort of cruising along on the residual prestige of the previous 50 years. And so it's nice to look at the numbers and realize, wait, NBC News won't exist in 10 years, maybe not even 5. You know, these places are all collapsing. How great is that? How deserved is that? They're liars. There's no reason they should be getting rich doing that. So yeah, I'm really happy about it, actually.
Tucker, do you find it weird, because I do, that they look at numbers, right? It's all a business, right? This is a business. The First is a business. The Tucker Carlson Network, it is a business. It's not a charity. They're looking at numbers. They're looking at their numbers go down. They're looking at their viewership go down. And nobody, not the CEOs, not the hosts, nobody is even suggesting a change of course. It's like the one thing they can do to save themselves, they refuse to do it. And I think it's baffling.
And they're all becoming more alike. That's the amazing thing. I mean, if something's not working, if I look over at my neighbor and he's doing something counterproductive, I think to myself, well, I probably shouldn't do that because that's the result of it. And yet every news organization is becoming more like every other news organization. And it's not working for any of them. So you're wondering, like, what is this? And it's it's delusion, it's a religion, but it's also like a lack of self-awareness. They don't talk to anybody but one another. And so they blame their failure on irrelevant factors. Like they're like, well, it's just like viewer habits have changed. Well, viewer habits have changed because you're a liar and you have no more credibility. And no one would watch you because what's the point of listening to things that aren't true? But that never occurs to them. And I've worked at, every one of those places full time. And so I think I've got a pretty good perspective on this. These are people who are, high achievers on the SAT. I think they have high IQs, most of them, but they're so unwise. It's almost unbelievable.
Where do you think they get the disdain for normal people? Like you brought up the January 6ers, and I love that you talk about them. We've been talking about them for 3 years now. It's awful, but you can really sense it from these people. If you read their social media posts, you see their broadcasts, not even Republicans, Democrats, just normal people, they really do look on them with such disdain. They tell everybody now that the economy's doing well. You see it all the time. New York Times, media, the economy's great. I don't know why people are complaining. Check the numbers. People are paying $6 for a pound of burger in the grocery store, and these people lecture them about how well they're doing.
Of course. Well, it's a really simple principle. that's a feature of human nature, and that's what you're watching. It's that you hate the people you wrong. You would think you'd feel empathy for the people you wrong or guilt over wronging them. But it's just totally true. The kinder you are to somebody, the more you like that person. It's one of the reasons you love your kids. You're wired to be nice to them, and so the nicer you are, the more you cherish them. But if you do someone a bad turn, if you're unfair to someone, if you're cruel to someone, if you screw someone in a business deal, you wind up hating that person, as grotesque as that is. That's just true. And legacy media have really hurt middle-class America. And the more they hurt middle-class America, and in really measurable ways, by ignoring their deaths, life expectancy declines, mostly because of the opioid crisis, but also because of diabetes and just the general poverty that's descended on the middle class. And the media ignore that. In fact, they celebrate it and get into this, we hate white people, we hope white people die. And the more they say stuff like that, the more, the anti-white racism, the total disregard for ordinary people, the more they hate those people. It's super interesting, even though those people have never done anything to them, ever, of course.
Tucker, speaking of anti-white, I ordered a couple pizzas for the studio last night, and on one of them I got Alfredo sauce instead of pizza sauce. And my entire staff here at the studio complained and made fun of me. Jesse's so stupid.
Yeah.
But yet that was the first pizza gone, Tucker. Is this something that people, why can't people just admit when they're wrong? I hate it.
That's a really fair question, though I'm not really qualified to answer it because the idea of an Alfredo pizza is so repugnant to me that I can't consider this question fairly. Like, I've never seen an Alfredo pizza, but if I did, I would look away. It's almost like those pictures you get on the dark web of like war atrocities. It hurts you to look at them. So that's how I feel about Alfredo pizza.
That's fine. You can be wrong. That's fine. You got your own network. You can say whatever you want. I'm not here to judge anybody.
Yes, okay. We have no pizza advertisers.
Yeah. Well, you're not getting one now, Tucker. All right, hey, is Joe Biden going to make it next year? I just can't see the system. And it's not about, him being old and pooping his pants in front of the Pope and all the other things he does. I just can't see the system risking their power by allowing an unpopular man to run again. I understand everything's in place for him to run again, and that's the likely scenario. If you had to bet your mortgage on it, there's no way they're going to let him do it. It's either going to be Dome or it's going to be Newsom. It's going to be somebody.
I mean, I think your instincts on this stuff in general are always spot on, and I couldn't agree with you more on that. I mean, there's no cult of Joe Biden. There's no affection for Joe Biden. There's no Biden legacy. His family's embarrassing and totally dysfunctional. His wife is transparently loathsome. Obviously, his kids are a mess. It's not Camelot. People, you know what I mean? It's like the only value in Joe Biden is transactional. Can you beat Donald Trump and hold power for the rest of us? And the second he can't do that, the second the polls show he can't do that, and they show that, I mean, Trump is winning by a pretty good margin in the matchups right now, then what's the point of Joe Biden? Plus, he's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. I mean, you got to think some of these people want to live in the country after 2024, and having a weak president is itself, even if he had great policies, but just the fact that the whole world knows the purportedly most powerful country on the planet is being led by a dementia patient, that's bad. It's bad for everybody right there. So I don't see any chance that they keep him, and I don't know why they would. And I think DNC rules allow them to swap out the nominee at the convention. And I would think Gavin Newsom, who's the most evil of them all, the most soulless, the most happy to lie right to your face while smiling. That guy seems like a natural leader for the Democratic Party, the party of lies.
How did they remove Dome? And then this is a very, very ambitious woman, as we can tell by how she got her start in politics. She's not just going to step aside for Gavin Newsom or anybody. This is maybe the most soulless, rudderless human being I think I've ever seen in politics. There's just not an ounce of genuine inside of her. She's going to try for that top office. Lord knows she'll do whatever she has to do for that top office. So how do you get her out?
It's such a great question, and I assume this is taking up approximately 80% of the brain power of the Democratic Brain Trust right now. I don't know. It won't be easy. I mean, you often hear, black women are the core of the Democratic vote. Well, she's not an African-American woman. Her dad was from the Caribbean. He was a college professor. Her mother's from India. She's a college professor. She's nothing in common. I mean, the whole thing is insane. But apparently that's a factor. But the real factor is her. I mean, she's inadequate as a person. She knows that. She's brittle and insecure as a result of it. That's obvious when you watch her. It's also clear that politics is all she has. She doesn't have children. She doesn't have a real marriage. Like, it's not like she can go back to the farm and spend time with her grandkids. She literally never had children. So why would she give this up? And from her perspective, because she's grown up in a world where unearned self-esteem is the currency for people in her position. Oh, you're oppressed. You're wonderful. I mean, she kind of can't accept this. And by the way, what are they going to give her? I mean, seriously, in exchange for a real chance of being president, what could you give someone? So I don't know what they're going to do. I think it's the toughest problem they face.
Tucker, this isn't the first time you and I have been on the air together, but it is the first time I have interviewed you, and my staff dug up some of my highlights from when you were interviewing me, and I'm going to play this for you, and I want to know which one was your favorite. Here it was.
We don't need a military that's woman-friendly. We don't need a military that's gay-friendly, with all due respect to the Air Force. We need a military that's flat-out hostile. We need a military full of type A men who want to sit on a throne of Chinese skulls. And soon you're Chelsea Handler. Soon it's Valentine's Day, and your womb resembles a dried-up tumbleweed blowing down an old western town. And your Valentine's Day date for the 10th year in a row is a 10-year-old copy of Magic Mike and a half-full bottle of Xanax, and you're trying to pretend like you're happy. Everybody watching you right now has worked for or worked with somebody who just has ambition just dripping off of their pores. And that's Kamala Harris. Those types of people will do anything to get ahead. They treat their bosses like crap. They treat their employees like crap. That's why she knifed Joe Biden in the debate with all that race nonsense. There was no need to do that. It's the same reason she cackles like a dead hyena every time she's asked an uncomfortable question. It's the same reason she started out her political career as Willie Brown's bratwurst bun. Kamala Harris will do anything to get ahead.
There's so many to choose from. But Willie Brown's bratwurst bun has got to be near the top. But my personal favorite, and I remember when you said it, because it was so dry and subtle. You were so expressionless when you said, comma, with apologies to the Air Force, comma. That was one of those things. People don't usually attempt that on television because it's just too subtle. And so, TV people always go for the obvious joke. It takes balls to go for the one that, 90% of the audience will miss, but it's so worth it because the 10% who get it and are like, wait, what did he just say? Those people will appreciate it so much that you are making their day. And you made mine with that. I love that. With apologies to the Air Force.
Oh, that was
so good.
That was a fun night. I'll never forget the Chinese state-run media giant came after us both after that. Gosh, that was so freaking hilarious. All right, what's at tuckercarlson.com? I know I can't get an Alfredo pizza, so what can I get at tuckercarlson.com?
Oh, a whole cornucopia of, look, what you're getting is a replacement for what's going away, which is NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, all the rest. Look, someone needs to cover the news. And so we are. And we're going to do it with true honesty, including the acknowledgement of mistake. If we screw it up, we're going to say so immediately, without hedging. I mean, that's if you want people to trust you, you have to admit when you're wrong, and that's always been my policy, and it will continue to be. But yeah, documentaries, interviews, lots of it, and a bunch of other features and stuff that we think are amusing. And then, in the coming year, a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, we're building a network and it's pretty cheap. And we think it's absolutely necessary. Look, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, the next 12 months are going to be, I think very volatile and potentially extremely volatile. And I hope that's not the case, but I think it's entirely possible. In fact, maybe even likely. So, you've got tens of millions of young men from foreign countries whose identities we know nothing about. And Democrats in the Congress are trying to push them into the military. So people show up in your country from Africa or Latin America. You have no idea who they are, whether they have a criminal record, and then you hand them automatic weapons. What is that about? Honestly, what is that about? Why would our leaders want to assemble an army of foreigners who know nothing about this country, may not even speak the language, and then turn them loose in our country? So, I don't know the answer to that. I find that the single most ominous thing that's happening. But I think we need to be prepared for some radical stuff to happen in the next 12 months. And I want to stay on the air. And I'm just absolutely worried about an advertiser model. I love advertisers, even the Alfredo pizza guys. But I've been through a lot of advertiser boycotts in 30 years in the media. And I don't want that in the middle of an election year. So you need a different model. You need to figure out a way to pay your staff with money that can't be taken away from you. And that's from your viewers. That's a subscription model. So that's why we're doing that.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's smart. And yet the military thing, I caught Dick Durbin when he said that on the House floor, pitching for these illegals in the military. And I had the exact same thought, Tucker. Look, the red-blooded American male from Nebraska may very well refuse his orders to fire on you and your family. But Private First Class Deep from whatever country he is, he has no loyalty to you, to your country, to your Constitution. He's going to be loyal to whoever's handing out citizenship at the end.
What troubles me about the debate now about the southern border is it is one half of the immigration equation. Presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country and you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably, we will make you citizens of the United States.
They're spying on, military intelligence is spying on Americans. That never happened. When you served in the military's mission was really clear: defend the country from foreigners. And now the military is being used domestically a lot. And so if you're going to fill its ranks with foreigners and arm them, I should be really worried about that. Why is no one saying this? This is a huge deal, in my opinion.
It's not as if at any point in time in history communists have used the military against their own citizens. They would certainly never consider something like that. I would strongly suggest everybody go to tuckercarlson.com and sign up. He's right. It's affordable. It's a place you can actually get some real news. My man, I'm rooting for you. I know you're going to be a smash success, as you always are, and I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Jesse. Great to see you.